At 23, when I should have been a senior graduating college, I was living in my hometown of Marion, Indiana. It's where I was born and raised. It was a Friday night. A bunch of my friends went out to a party. I went with them. When we left the party, we went to the bar. When we went to the bar, I had 10 more shots of tequila. I was extremely inebriated. When we went to leave the bar to go to an after party, my friend said, "Nathan, we're gonna go to TJ's. You know TJ well. Why don't you leave a little bit early and go get him, and go to the party and get the party ready for the after party." So I got on the phone and I called my friend Priscilla. She came to pick me up to be my designated driver. When she came to get me though, when we left that night, for some reason when we got to her car, even though she was my designated driver and I was extremely inebriated, when we left there that night, I had gotten the keys to her vehicle. And we left that night, and we didn't make it to TJ's house. We hit a tree at a high rate of speed. My friend Priscilla Owens, on July 17, 2009, she lost her life. We were involved in a terrible accident. We hit a tree at a high rate of speed. I woke up in a hospital. Police officers over top of me asking me questions. They didn't know who she was because her cell phone, it was locked. Her ID, it wasn't in her purse. And she was fighting to survive, and they needed to know who she was until they couldn't identify her until I woke up. And when I woke up, my mama was to my left in the corner, and my ankle was throbbing, and I said, "Her name's Priscilla, what's happening?" And they said, "Mr. Harmon, we can't tell you too much. You're not family. But Priscilla, she's alive, but she's struggling." And for some reason in that moment, they didn't arrest me. I don't know why. Maybe because my ankle was broken, the police didn't want to pay for the hospital bill. I don't know. Or maybe they didn't know how to charge me with a crime of a DUI or a DUI with bodily injury. But what I do know is they let me go that morning, that Saturday morning on the next day. And as I got into the car with my mother, my mom said, "Nathan, your life's about to change." And I said, "What was happening? What's going on?" My sister was a nurse. And when the accident happened, she got the phone call. And when she showed up to the hospital, I had already been lifelined out. But she read the police report and she read the ambulance report. And the police report said that the amount of impact that we hit the tree, there was no brake marks, no skid marks, no signs of me trying to stop, just boom. We were going 60 to 63 miles an hour. And upon impact, my hand snapped the steering column and my foot was on the gas pedal and it shattered my ankle. But the case of beer that we put in the back seat, it was catapulted forward. Priscilla was in the front seat and she didn't have her seatbelt on. And the beer bottles on Priscilla flew through the air. And they hit the windshield at the same time. And my friend Priscilla, she lost her life. Get something very clear tonight. I take 120% ownership of this. My friend Priscilla Owens is not here because of my choices. And choices matter. But what happened in the story, it's pretty insane and it's not normal, natural, or practical. But 3 days after my wreck, her family wanted me to contact them. "What do you say? I'm sorry. Forgive me." I was terrified. Not only now had my choices destroyed my life, but they had affected another family forever. And I pick up the phone and "What do you say? Forgive me?" And I call and nobody answers, and I didn't want to call back, but I knew that I had to. And I call back and Carolyn, the mother, and Olivia, the sister, answer. And they say, "Nathan," I said, "I'm sorry, I have no idea." And I had no words, and I'm crying, and I'm afraid, and I'm embarrassed, and I'm sad, and there's really nothing that you can say. You should hate me, and I get it. My life, it's whatever. And they said, "Nathan, we don't know what happened that night. Our daughter left to be your designated driver." I said, "I know. I have no idea how I got the keys." And they said, "We know our daughter. She was a pistol. She was not easily influenced. She was strong-willed. We don't know why she would give you those keys." I said, "I have no idea either." They said, "We're angry, we're mad, we're sad. We don't know how to feel. But what we do feel as a family, we personally in this moment, we don't think that one dumb choice should have destroyed two families' lives. Our daughter, just as much as you knew better, she knew better. I said, no, it's my fault. They said, yes, you're responsible, but we as a family don't think we can hold you solely responsible. And in this moment, even though we don't know how we feel, we do know that we're choosing to pick love over hate. And we want you to know in this moment, we're choosing to forgive you. But we're asking you to do two things. First off, we forgive you. We want you to be part of our family, even though we don't know you. But we're asking you, please don't let our daughter die for nothing, and try to make the world a better place. Choices, though, have consequences. And even though the family shows this love that's radical, my mom has even said, Nathan, and my mom, if I was honest, she's one of the most God-fearing women in the history of mankind. She's like 4'11", she's like next to nothing. And she said, Nathan, if somebody had taken your life or your sister's life, I would probably demand justice and judgment. And that's natural and that's normal. But this family, they chose love over hate. But again, choices have consequences. The state of Indiana, they didn't forgive me. In the state of Indiana, I was charged at 23 years old when I should have been a senior, graduating college. I was charged with reckless homicide, and I was sentenced to 15 years in prison. But in that moment and in that place, when I went to prison, honestly, it would have been easy for me to throw in the towel, to say I quit, I give up. It would have been easy to say, you know what, my life's a mistake, I'm a failure, I made too many poor choices, and now my choices haven't only affected me, but they have affected another family. But honestly, I remember a quote that my father, when I was a young man, he used to always say to me, and he always said, as long as there's breath in your lungs, there's hope in your heart, and giving up's not an option. When I was a kid and he would beat the brakes off of me at any sporting event, he used to always tell me, identify the problem, solve the problem, giving up is not an answer. And it was in that place, instead of saying, you know what, I've made too many mistakes, I'm a failure, suicidal thoughts, self-injury, hurting people with my choices and my actions and my fists and my anger and my rage, the drug addiction. I had been homeless at times from the ages of 18 to 23, sleeping underneath bushes of Walmarts. It would have been real easy to say I give up, but it was in that moment I realized something, that I had to take control of my life. And what I've learned and what I share with schools and venues, anywhere I go, that it's this, that as long as there's breath in your lungs, there is hope in your heart, and you are not a product of your environment. You're not a product of the storms you face. You are a product of how you navigate your storms. You're a product of how you navigate your environment. What you do matters. Choices matter. But I had to realize something, that the mask that I had wore for so many years, from the 6th grade all the way up to 23 years old, this mask that I thought was supposed to protect me, it was the very thing that was holding me hostage. This mask that I thought was supposed to keep me safe, honestly, it isolated me, and I had all these situations and these habits that I created that were destructive. And I realized that I had to take off the mask in 2009 and 2010 and begin to face my fears. I had to begin to be vulnerable and transparent. The mask, apparently, it didn't work. It was pretty common sense to see that. Now I'm 23 and I'm facing 15 years in prison, and my choices had affected another family. And so it was in that moment that I took off this mask. But I realized there were some fears and some also adversity that I had to challenge myself. Because if this family could choose love over hate for the loss of their daughter, there was a lot of abuses and traumas that I had experienced as a kid that I had to let go too.